Well, if your teacup ain't brown inside, it's not a proper teacup, is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hello and welcome to This is an Ambitious podcast. It's an advertising and marketing podcast about ambition, surprisingly. It's presented by myself and Bez.
Hello, do
Bez.
everyone.
And this week we're talking to Dwight, who was a former journalist, I found out, according to his LinkedIn, and a bit of a marketing legend, actually, Dom. But yeah, former strategy and innovation director at Taylors of Harrogate and famously Yorkshire Tea, and was behind one of my favourite campaigns in recent years, where everything's done proper. Hello, Dom.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Welcome.
How are
Yeah,
you, Dom?
but now
Good.
you actually left Yorkshire Tea after 73 years in the business a few weeks ago, and now you describe yourself as a strategy advisor to brands and agencies specialising in effectiveness. Would you like to expand upon that?
Well, there's because there's many sins committed on LinkedIn, aren't there? There's no real rules, but so like the short version is I was at Taylor's working on Yorkshire Tea for nearly 20 years. I stayed because it is genuinely like a really lovely company. It's the best brand I've ever worked on, best job I've ever had. But 18 years in one place is a long time.
Sure.
And I think I was just reaching a point of thinking it's time to try something else.
Mm-hmm.
And also I'm at that point in my life where both my kids are quite grown up. So
Yeah.
it was just that moment in life where I thought I could do something different.
Yeah.
So strategy advisor is like the best word I could come up with for what I think I'm going to be next. What I'm mainly really interested in is just, I feel like we pulled off something really special with Yorkshire Tea. And I really like the idea of talking to other businesses, other brands to help them do the same thing. I feel like one of the reasons why Yorkshire Tea did so well was the relationship we've got with our agencies.
Yeah.
So Lucky Generals for creative and good stuff for media.
Do you think that's really important behind the success of something like Yorkshire Tea, the sort of the relationship that a business has with its agencies and what have you?
I definitely do.
Yeah.
I think if something's not working, you shouldn't just stick at it in the name of longevity. But
Sure.
I do think there's way too much churn in the marketing world.
Yeah.
A little bit of churn can be healthy, but too much and you just never ever get that kind of accumulation of like good thinking. And so I think that really was one of our superpowers, was just that we had these like deep relationships with.
But consistency as well. How long was the Where Everything's Done Proper campaign? How long was that? It feels like it's been part of the zeitgeist for a while.
I became marketing director for Taylor's in 2016. And pretty much the same day I found out I'd got that job, we also concluded the pitch process and we needed to tell the agencies like who had won. Right. So it was like literally my first duty as marketing director was to call Lucky Generals and say, you guys have won. And the idea that they pitched was Where Everything's Done Proper. And they'll often tell this story. They got really overexcited about the idea. So they presented about like 15 scripts, which is, I think, like a pitch no-no. But they wanted to show how flexible the idea was and how much they loved it. We've made loads of them.
Yeah.
So the scripts are written kind of 10 years ago, and there's some of them that is still like we're just waiting for the opportunity to make them.
It just feels like it, it could
I think that was the rise of Yorkshire Tea, really, that campaign, because we weren't really heard about much until recent times.
Yeah.
And I think that campaign's brought it to like taking on the big brands in the tea world, are you now with that?
That was kind of the plan, really. Was I'd worked on the brand, and we'd done some great ads before that, and they'd been like funny. People had liked them, but what they hadn't done is they hadn't got through to the kind of person that would just like habitually buy PG Tips or Tetley. I've got loads of mates down south where when I first told them I worked for Taylor's, they're the company that make Yorkshire Tea, they'd be like, oh yeah, I've heard of Yorkshire Tea. But that's it. That's about as famous as it was. Yeah. Whereas now if I go and see those same mates, they've got Yorkshire Tea on their kitchen shelf. And I'm like, oh, you drink Yorkshire Tea now? And they say, yeah, we've always drunk Yorkshire Tea.
Was that the ambition then? Was Yorkshire always wanting to be the number one and, supersede their sort of legacy tea brands like Typhoo or
So, like, not really. I think one of the things that I loved about the company, actually, because it's owned by a family, and they do value the fact that the business is successful and it makes money, but it's one of those businesses where they're not just trying to grow as fast as possible, as quickly as possible. So I actually don't think the ambition for most people was we want Yorkshire Tea to become number one. I think the idea was to be the best rather than be the biggest. But if you became the biggest as a consequence of being the best, then great. I'm also realising I still haven't got a habit of saying
no,
we.
I've noticed that as well.
They.
So in that sort of set, did you achieve everything you wanted to achieve at Yorkshire? Obviously you had this sort of epiphany of, what's going on in your private life with the kids, and being there for such a long time, did you achieve everything you wanted to achieve, do you think?
I'm really happy with the things that we achieved while I was there. That's probably the thing about ambition, right? Is if you've always got like a drive, there's probably always another mountain after the one you've just summited.
Yeah.
So like becoming number one in the UK, that's obviously awesome. But there's like 2 challenges beyond that. One of them is like the whole time that Yorkshire Tea had been growing, tea in the UK is in decline because we're all drinking other things. So that's an ambition that I didn't ever really get to fully realise, and that's now down to the team that are there, that I've left behind, which is
Make tea drinking cool again.
Well, basically that's
well,
the
we've got
job.
to come up with a good idea for that one.
Okay, I'll put you in touch with them. And then I think the other ambition is, we're only number one in the UK. I'd love to see Yorkshire Tea start to take over the rest of the world, become a big tea in the States. And the obvious places are places like Australia, Canada, America.
The Commonwealth.
A bit of that. But anywhere really where you can kind of imagine our kind of tea culture taking some sort of hold.
Yeah, exactly.
You need a load of expats in different parts of the world drinking Yorkshire Tea.
Yeah. Although funny you should say that, right? But the way I kind of got into marketing was through social media. It was in the early days of Twitter. And I kept saying, you should see what people are saying. So you'd have expats in places like California, like going on about, like, I cannot find Yorkshire Tea anywhere, or I can't get a good cup of tea anywhere. So that's what started sort of my journey, really, was just going online and starting to listen to that and join in the conversation and basically tell people, oh, if you're in California, here's where to get Yorkshire Tea.
Did that kind of inform then the sort of the whole pack your bags
Yes.
things, which was a lot of fun and felt quite true. Not personally, I don't do that, but I've got friends who definitely do. So what's your goal now then? Is it nice not quite knowing what shape the next mountain is and all that sort of thing? What are your sort of personal ambitions from that?
I just feel like whatever I do, I want to kind of feel like I'm adding value to it. And I don't mean just commercially. Like I think Yorkshire Tea sort of cracked this particular way of behaving that was to do with basically being more human. So being more down to earth, more authentic, but also, embracing stuff like empathy, humor, like quirkiness, so that everything doesn't have to be like boxed in and in straight lines. And I think that is like a force for good. So I've sort of got this like internal mission that's developing that I haven't kind of fully worked out yet, which is about how do I sell that idea to other businesses so that they realize like that actually if they kind of embrace the human side of things, that it'll be better for them and better for other people.
And I think that's important, that to embrace that we are actually humans, you know what I mean, and we're going down this digital path now, aren't we, where we're leaving humanism behind. So I think what you just said there is really important. Well, it rang a bell with me anyway.
That's good. Okay, that's
If
one
no
down.
one else.
That's one down. No, but I that is probably a big part of this. I think I started thinking about this idea of humanness in the last couple of years. Obviously, you can't really have a conversation in marketing without talking about AI. So sorry, I just did it. But, it just made me realize this whole idea of humanness is possibly about to get even more relevant, even more important. Because for certain brands, certain businesses, it could be the way to stand out. Is if everyone else is going to automate and get very samey, then what about if the people that embrace that kind of idiosyncratic human thing? And it could be a way to have like proper competitive advantage, as well as also, still love what you do.
Well, you know what? I'm sold, mate. I'm sold on that idea completely. I agree with you 100%.
Okay,
that's
good. We should talk after.
No, it's great. You know what I mean?
It's important
because I bring you up a lot, don't I? These podcasts, the fact that we are moving away from humanism. You know what I mean? It's kind of worrying.
I don't say that with like an anti-technology point of view. Like I think, even if you go back to like TV, as well as social media, it's not all bad. Like I think some of my like favorite kind of human connection moments have been because of TV. I'm just thinking actually, there's about the amount of times I've watched you and Sean on Celebrity Gogglebox and stuff, and you feel close to people you've never met, and they make you laugh. So technology can be a way to like fuel that human connection, but you've just got, I think you've got to make sure that you're riding the wave of technology and not being overcome by it.
Because it's better. What makes you want to try new things like beyond the Happy Mondays?
Well, the people like you employ me to come in at the email agency. But I'm quite lucky because who I am through the Happy Mondays. I've had opportunities to do other things
Yeah.
that I would never normally get
Yeah.
to do. And I've got a genuine interest in a lot of different things, which I always find, helps you in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not like a one-track minded thing, I've genuine interest in what other people do. And
Yeah.
so I think that's,
Yeah, it's authentic. It's human. You're not a
Yeah.
corporate machine at all.
yeah, and I'm not an AI robot either. You know what I mean?
Well,
And that's a great thing about being human.
yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
you can ride your emotions and get away with it.
We can't leave that behind.
Yeah.
So Dom, is it you're obviously making this sort of big personal leap into a sort of, you're moving away from the world you've known and you're sort of doing these new things. How informed is it by doing things that you feel like the world wants and needs versus what you think they want and need, if that makes sense?
Honestly, I think it's probably more about me. I suppose one of the things I've learned about myself in the last couple of years is if my heart isn't in something, I don't think I can be very good at it.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to listen to that voice and think I need to find the next thing that I can put my heart into. The other area that I'm really interested in, which is something I've got more tuned into lately, is the northern side of our industry.
Yeah.
Just through things like, conferences like
Yeah.
Mad North and stuff, just talking to people, whether it's agency or brand or even the bit beyond that of production companies, and just think, God, there's so much gold in the North. And
Yeah.
actually, if it could be better connected to itself, if it could leverage its like collective strength, I just think the North could be the ultimate like challenger brand.
Well,
Yeah.
And I find that really exciting.
It does feel like that.
Yeah.
I thought there was bringing the Northern Powerhouse in to bring that together, what you just saw. Or
Yeah,
did that
But I
never
think maybe
happen?
we just stop waiting for someone else
Yeah.
to do it for us. And
Yeah,
let's just
yeah,
make it
and
happen.
make it.
Yeah.
But I agree, we need like a Northern Powerhouse, you know what I mean, to bring it all together, like you said.
And I mean, some people
Yeah.
would say like it already is one. It's just we
Yeah.
almost need to kind of.
There's an
Recognise
apologetic,
it.
not quite comfortable with.
And I say all this, by
not
the way, as
successful.
like a renegade Southerner. I was born in Bromley, but I've lived in Yorkshire for more years than I've spent growing up down south. So
Yeah,
I hope that qualifies me. But
that does. I think that makes you an adopted Northerner, actually.
that's good.
So, what's an ambitious thing that you've tried or gone for, believed in, and has ultimately failed, which tend to be the bigger learning curves? Then
I've definitely got loads of things that I've messed up, but I think because I'm quite like a irrepressibly positive person, so quite a lot of the things I think of as failures, I could also equally show how they were like actually really good and they led to something.
Yeah.
There was a lovely period in my time working on Yorkshire Tea where Yorkshire Tea was still like kind of number 4 in the market,
Yeah.
and we were therefore under the radar challenger brand. We were doing things and it felt like the stakes were a lot lower. We had a lot less to lose. So it meant we could kind of do quite random stuff. I managed to convince Russell Crowe to come and do a live gig with his band in the middle of our office and stuff like that. But we also did some stuff that didn't really deliver. So like probably the most obvious one I can think of is just spent quite a lot of money throwing this massive tea party on the Orient Express, which should have been this like enormous PR success.
Yeah.
There was an editor of a magazine who's a big fan of Yorkshire Tea who didn't manage to get on the train. So
Right.
obviously the coverage in that magazine never happened.
Yeah.
But there was quite a lot of other stuff where like the media that we thought would cover it or come just didn't happen.
Right.
So the original target, we absolutely did not achieve it. But one saving grace was that Louis Tomlinson was formerly of One
Feels
Direction.
good.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a big Yorkshire Tea fan,
Right.
and him, his girlfriend, his mum, who sadly passed away recently, and I think his stepdad all came on board. So the saving grace of that whole exercise was that he tweeted about it.
Right.
And of course, One Direction back then was like, all they had to do was cough and the internet all just went, what? Like that. We basically had a global audience of young girls suddenly talk about Yorkshire Tea, which
Yeah.
was exciting. It wasn't. I don't think they all went out and bought Yorkshire Tea the next day.
But then, did you claim that was the target?
Absolutely,
in
yeah.
In the
Just
WhatsApp, yeah.
pointed to the bits on the graph that made
Yeah.
us look good.
Look at this with 17-year-old girls. Fantastic. And then, so then, what's been your biggest win if it wasn't converting the One Direction fans?
It's a bit obvious to say this, but it's like the whole Where Everything's Done Proper campaign. The first round of ads was Parky, Kaiser Chiefs, the Brownlee Brothers.
Yeah.
Probably like the big peak of it all was when we cast Sean Bean in the second round, because Sean Bean was like a mega star.
Yeah.
And that was a bigger call because it was a lot more money to put into it. The Sean Bean ad was the one where when we aired it, within a few months, we went to number 1. So
Yeah.
that's my sort of.
So is it
highlight.
those ads were they just getting bigger and bigger in sort of how, production and all that sort of, so the ambition within the business was seeing a result and
Yeah,
a
yeah,
real
yeah.
ROI.
It's
So-
funny, really, because when we first pitched the idea, quite a lot of the senior folk at Taylors were a bit iffy about the idea of using celebrities, because there's
Yeah.
quite a lot of ads that feature celebrities that are naff,
Mhm.
right? Whereas we had this idea of like the way we'd use them would be like really integrated into the story, into the joke,
Yeah.
and we'd almost be like ignoring the fact that they're famous. That's
Yeah.
part of the joke.
Yeah, Yorkshire is the hero.
Yeah,
still.
yeah. The problem I've left for my old team was, like, there's how do you keep going? Because once you kind of work with these like Hollywood megastars, you do start to think like, well, who else do we work with? So,
Yeah, exactly. So do you think the media landscape is so fragmented? Do you think the industry is still as ambitious as it was when you were doing that sort of stuff? Do you think it's less ambitious? Do you think it's less likely things like that could happen then?
the thing I care about is sort of creative expression and creative effectiveness, and that human thing we talked about. And there, I think, no, it's not ambitious. But it's sad actually that I don't like the fact that when I think back to the ads I watched as a kid when I sat in front of the telly for far too long, felt really bold.
Yeah.
And now it's very rare that you see an ad that like properly grabs you and makes you think,
Yeah.
wow, I can't believe they did
I
that.
agree.
And I'd love to see more risk taking in creativity.
Do you think on that sort of that by the numbers we're a bit holden to the over researching stuff? There's an in-joke in creative department is every ad should have a dog in it because that's what certain research tells us
Yeah.
all the time, and then you watch it and they all have dogs in them at some point. And it's
If you're going to take a big risk, and maybe research would help you work out like how big that risk is going to be, great. Whereas if you're using research to kind of create a formula, like a paint by numbers recipe for how to make an ad, I think that's actually like the worst approach, because you're just going to end up with something that doesn't stand out.
And a lot of stuff what's the same as well.
Yeah, can you imagine if like somebody was like, by the way, we've done some research, and like, here's what the next Happy Monday song should be.
yeah.
Like creativity doesn't work like that.
No.
So if every ad has a dog in it, I guess you use the research to go, right, everyone else is going to have a dog in it. We're going to buck that trend by doing something. I mean, you could use the knowledge, but apply it in a creative way, perhaps.
Have Bez in it instead.
Yeah, Bears as a dog.
Yeah.
Bez has written you a question.
Of course he
he's
is.
desperate to ask you.
And I've got my glasses at the ready. It makes me appear a lot more intelligent than I am.
His eyesight's failing. He's in his 80s now.
Are you ready for
ready.
this question, Dom? So when diversifying your career, Dom, perhaps by building a portfolio of skills such as volunteering, freelancing, or taking on stretch projects to increase your value and adaptability, is this the most potent injection of longevity for your professional resilience by increasing opportunities for networking, for hidden opportunities, pursuing continuous learning and exploring yourself?
What do you think of that?
I mean, I'm just
Blown
thinking,
away
what,
by
what
it.
might you mean by exploring yourself?
Yeah, well, I don't want to say that. You can explore yourself in many ways, can't you, I suppose, but...
It's a deep question. Bez does write all his own questions. They sometimes get a bit convoluted. Anyway, Dom, have you got any questions for Bez?
Well, same question back to Bears.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Is by increasing opportunities for networking, it's like one of my friends always tells me he does his best business in the pub after work.
Nice.
A lot of good business is done
It's
in
all
the
relaxed,
pub, which is
all
I always,
relaxed.
and that brings we can't do that over an AI. No,
Yeah.
that's where the networking comes in, and learning and exploring, yourself. So when you're out socialising, you're learning about yourself all the time. So I think that's a good question by myself.
There's wisdom in that question.
I'm well answered by myself as well.
I do have like a proper question actually.
Go on,
So
then, let's
not
see.
that wasn't a proper, but I have one of my own. So my son's hoping to go to Manchester Uni later this year. So I just wanted to ask if you got any advice for him to come over this way from Yorkshire.
Well, yeah, Manchester is probably one of the greatest cities to come and study in. We've got a massive student population there. We've got great facilities. From you name it, we've got it facility-wise. The only thing we ain't got is Manchester Tea. which I think we need to rectify some way or another and bring out. We need a Manchester Tea to take on the Yorkshire one.
Doesn't sound as nice. Does
Yeah,
it?
yeah, no, it don't. It's Yorkshire Tea, Manchester Tea. Come on,
Ian Brown said Manchester's got everything except a beach
and the tea.
and a tea.
Yeah, yeah,
It didn't. Yeah, well, you had it. We'll add that. To,
yeah, yeah.
the wiki quotes.
We haven't got
for
our
you.
own tea yet. We've got everything else but our own tea.
Taylors of Salford.
Yeah, Taylors of Salford. That'd be great. That.
Heard it here first.
Yeah, yeah.
Dom, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
It was fun. Thank you, Baz. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, etc. Thank you very much. Bye bye.